Baie dankie Lieselie. Ek gaan my beste in Engels probeer want hier is 'n paar Engelse mense. So it's lovely having the opportunity to see all of you here, to just enjoy the day with us. But I'm going to take a few of your minutes to just share with you what cystic fibrosis is and what our mission is with the non-profit company that we started 6 months ago. So we're literally still in our baby shoes. And just to start off with, I would like all of you to take in a very deep breath. The deepest breath you can take in. Just take it in and keep it there and let it go. And now I want you to take in only half of that breath and let it out. And then do that 5 times. Only half of that breath in and another half out. Then I want you to go down to a half of that. So that's 25%. And do that for 10 times to get an idea of what it feels like having 25% lung function. It takes a while. I want you to feel how desperate you start getting for a deep breath and how tiring it is. Is that accurate? Do you feel like you want to take a deep breath? Okay, then do it. Just take that deep breath. So with cystic fibrosis, that is impossible because every time I wanted to take a deep breath, my lungs would start to bleed because I get a coughing fit. And that's a very common symptom of cystic fibrosis. And that happened since I was 20 years old. I'm 40 now. So that was my reality the last 12 years. But I'm going to stand still for a while. And I would love to jump to the part where I give you hope. But then I risk that you don't understand what we as an NPC are really here for and what we can offer patients if we stand together as a community and reach out to those patients. So I want to go back to the day I was born when my parents were told I only have 5 years to live. Okay, so I'm past my expiry date. I hope I'm okay and not smelling it. But that was where I kicked off. And I had a basically healthy life and childhood. I went to school. And then at 17, I got some kind of bacteria. And it's still stuck in my lungs, causing havoc till today because my mucus is much thicker than other people's mucus. And so I can't get rid of those bugs. And that's why I always tell people, don't come and visit when you are sick, because I don't get rid of your bugs. Or I end up in hospital for another 2 to 3 weeks. And it causes permanent lung damage. And this is what happened at 28. My past came to catch up with me. And so, since that age, I had to go to doctors, and what we were discussing was when is it time for a lung transplant, okay? And to be honest, that's a scary thought that I never wanted to think about, because I thought I'll do that when I cross the bridge, you know. Luckily, I'm safe from that, but I'll get to that point. So I had to go to hospital every 3 to 4 months for 2 weeks at a time, losing 2 months per year in hospital. Imagine being 24 years old, trying to get a career, trying to make a living, but you have to go to hospital every 2 weeks. It is impossible. I promise you. And that is only if you're a good CF. Some never get to go to work. So when I was 25, I had my first arthritis flare, and this was a major handicap for me. There were days where I couldn't stand on my own feet, I couldn't bear weight, I can't pick up a cell phone, so having a job is really hard. Picking up my baby was impossible some days. And then fast forward to 35, when they started to rectify this vein in my lungs that was popping the whole time, and something went wrong, and I ended up in ICU with what is it called? With liver failure. Okay, so I think what you see here today is not what really is happening. I look healthy, but on the inside, my organs are slowly deteriorating, and I've got no grip on that. And that is nothing. There's no cure for this disease. It's really devastating to talk to parents about this disease. But in my road that I traveled, especially the last 6 months, I realized I've got so much to give. And this is where the NPC comes in. But before I get to that point, I want to share with you that I never really joined any cystic fibrosis awareness event. There's 2 reasons for that. And the first one is we're not allowed to be 5 feet within one another, because then we get each other's bacteria that can be deadly for us. So you will never get a group of patients together. So raising awareness is really a big challenge for cystic fibrosis. Not only that, there's only 500 of us in South Africa. So, and then add to that it's a hopeless situation. I refrained from getting part of those activities because it was really depressing for me to share stories with those people. And I think you'll find the same if you go and Google cystic fibrosis. I'm not going to go into more detail what that is concerned. But let's just go back to last year. I would go for therapy every day. 3 hours of brutal physiotherapy, many inhalations a day. It is quite intense to have cystic fibrosis. It takes a lot of time. Not only that, I went to see therapists for my anxiety about my lungs bleeding. And this is the best part. The therapist would say, let's take breathing exercises. You know, they tell you, let's relax. And I'm like, I've got cystic fibrosis. I end up in a coughing fit and laughing. It's like a mixture between the two, so that didn't work so well, to be honest. And then, not only that, at the age of 39, I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis-related diabetes. So that's just another organ that chopped off, and that was my pancreas last year. And I left the hospital with the doctor's words, and he said, this is the beginning of the end. At that moment, I was cancelling my job contracts because I couldn't talk to crowds like this. I was coughing the whole time. By the way, I haven't coughed any time yet, so this is just amazing. And it's easy for me to talk, and I just love it. And I'll tell you more about that. So I had to cancel my jobs, and I had to rethink my future, and if I had any. And this is the sad part. So my health was terrible. But something else also happened. I was lucky enough, I was fortunate to get Trixacar in my hands. And my health improved literally overnight. Just by taking those 3 tablets a day. That's all it is. I didn't need to get surgery, a lung transplant, all of those disappeared. My lung function shot up. It's almost 100% now, which is normal. I have a much better quality of life. Everything just went through the roof. And I was back in the game. So it's just really great. And that's what I want to share with you. And that could be the end of my story, you know. Marie lived happily ever after, the end. But it's not. And this is where I come to you today. Some of you know me for years, and some I've met this morning. But most of you do know me for longer than 24 hours, which is great. And that's where I need you. For the patients in South Africa to get this medication, it's about R1 million a year. It's not affordable, it's not sustainable. We've got 500 patients in South Africa who has this disease. But I want you to think that, imagine, for those other 500 patients, they are still having my reality of 9 months ago. Still going through brutal treatments. Still have to crowdfund for lung transplants. Take daily oxygen as a supplement and losing their lives. So the median age at which people in South Africa die from cystic fibrosis is 32 years. Okay, that's young. As younger than almost half of us, I would say. Any case, so I think we have to give them hope. And that's why I started the NPC. I realized that for people to travel to Argentina is impossible if you have the disease, because you are either too young or you're too sick to go to Argentina and collect the medication from there. That's the only place we can get it from. Sorry. So I've got a challenge for you today. If each of you can find 10 people to sponsor 300 Rand a month, we are able to sponsor flights for all the people who are currently on the medication for the next 12 months to collect the medication in Argentina. And that's where we want to start with our non-profit company. We cannot start from day one subsidizing the medication. We will get there. But this is our short-term goal. So please go out, share our cause. Get your home groups, your companies, other people's companies, friends, anybody you know to support our cause. Because I think the patients in our country really need people like us to make a difference. And especially the difference we'd all like to see in this world. Something that brings hope. So to end off with, I'm just going to share with you briefly our mission. And there's 8 things we are focusing on. It is quite a lot, but let me do share that with you. So we want to ensure access of this medication. First of all, there's a crowdfunder that's funding fees for the legal fees that will go into the High Court case to seek a compulsory license to gain access for this medication. Secondly, we've got a claim against SARS after they charged the patient 52,800 Rand after that patient already paid 500,000 to collect her medication for bringing it into South Africa. Instead of having it free of charge, they actually took the medication. That's a longer story. Come and chat to me about it. It's really very terrible what happened there. And then thirdly, we are investigating the possibility of making a generic version of this medication in a country closer to South Africa where patent rights is not registered. And then the thing we use our time more for at the moment is raising funds to sponsor flights. And we are also coordinating flights for all of these patients and volunteers to collect medication. We are setting up a crowdfunding platform that is cheaper than BackaBuddy and GoFundMe for our patients. And then lastly, we give peer-to-peer support to the patients. These people are severely traumatized. I spoke to a mom the other day. And I think what I want to share with you is a patient has to raise R1 million a year to fund the medication. Imagine having 2 children. And then I spoke to mom having 3 children. Imagine there is something out there that can save your child's life, but there's no way you can get access to it. Imagine that feeling of hopelessness. So, yeah, I think that's my story for today, and thank you for coming. I really do hope you have a great time, and just go and share our cause, and I think extend my hope that I have for the CF community to thrive, not just live, but actually thrive. I can truly say for the first time I'm enjoying life and enjoying to breathe. It comes easy, and I really love that. Thank you.